Hey guys, Scriptkeeper here with another video, and of course, now that the Acolyte has been cancelled, it's doom and gloom all across the Star Wars media. It's funny though, because the media outlets are sort of writing articles today that are very, worrisome. We're worried about the state of Star Wars. Whereas it's funny because so many of us are like, no, this is great. They finally reached a point where they have to just stop. Yes! And the reason for that is the hope is our whole mentality since the sequel trilogies ended was that it would get so bad that they would be forced to sell it to somebody else that will stand up at the podium and decanonize everything that they did. Yes, the Mando show gave people a little bit of hope and they kind of forgot about that mentality. But then it kind of fizzled in season 3 as well. And then Andor wasn't very popular, but to some people it's like, okay, kind of, yeah, a little bit of hope. But other than that, everything else they've put out and announced and canceled and problems and issues and this and that, this is good. I mean, we've reached a point now where we can kind of see a possible light at the end of the tunnel in terms of them getting rid of it. Now, many would argue they never would. They would never accept defeat. And that could be very true. This isn't the first time either that they have decided to not go forward with more seasons, as we well know. But Insider reveals a concerning rumor about the Star Wars franchise, future of the franchise. George Lucas's Star Wars franchise is the cornerstone of modern science fiction. Okay, we know all that, right? We know what Star Wars was. Captivated multiple generations and remains one of the most iconic fictional universes ever created. However, like many long-running franchises, Star Wars has faced increasing challenges in recent years. Well, self-inflicted, though. Self-inflicted. And many long-running franchises. Same thing with Star Trek. Certain Marvel stuff. It's all self-inflicted. All of it. I've said this a million times. The people that just like it because it's Star Wars would have liked anything you did. So if you adhered to the lore and catered to the longtime fans, the shills would still shill. It wouldn't have mattered what you did. So the fact that you went a totally different direction than you should have was a really dumb mistake, business-wise. Criticism has grown and newer projects haven't been as universally cherished as those from earlier decades. While changes are happening, they don't seem to be steering the franchise in a positive direction. No guff. With the Acolyte recently cancelled, Skeleton Crew already mired in controversy, it just looks lazy. They didn't put any effort in. Months before its premiere, the future of Star Wars television project seems uncertain. An industry insider has now shared a troubling rumor about what lies ahead for the franchise. Now, if any of you have been following me for a while, you know I've been saying since day one on my channel that it was a huge mistake to put Star Wars on streaming services or on television. That was the big mistake that they made. Now, they thought they hadn't made a mistake because Mando did pretty well. But it was a mistake because as soon as you do that, you're diminishing the sort of aura of the franchise or like the expectations. It's just a fact. Like, the expectations for a TV show are not the same as a movie. The anticipation isn't the same. And when you have an IP this iconic, you should probably keep it that way. And the way you keep it that way is you do movies and you do them seldom, right? You do it, if you're going to do a trilogy, whatever, fine, every 3 years, whatever. But don't just keep flooding it with more and more shows and crap, because all you're doing is watering it down. And you're not just watering it down in terms of content and how awesome people think it is. You're also watering it down in terms of your ability to write good stories and have good characters, all that stuff, because you're spread so thin. You're working on so many projects at the same time. Your best people are spread out between 15 different things. And now with their whole writers group and everything, they got so many people chiming in. Like, you remember that list that they had on the wall and they had all their ideas and it was like dinosaurs and like just all this stupid stuff. You're making a mistake by watering it down and doing so many projects and even just putting it on TV. Now, having said that, they screwed up so bad with the sequels that I don't know that putting it on the big screen would have mattered again either. I think it's just, they've just screwed it up so bad that, I don't know. I'm not even sure. I think they should have just went with the story of Vader's grandkids, which is what George Lucas wanted them to do. I don't necessarily agree that you had to do it exactly the way it was in the EU. I didn't want to see Palpatine coming back, but it should have been about the family. That was what the sequels were about. And instead of making it about the family, they made it about nobody, because they're trying to, I don't know, they're trying to like change. I don't know if they thought like, oh, well, that'll make it so people don't care about the Skywalkers anymore if we change it to just some rando. And then at the last minute, oh no, it's a Palpatine. Like, anyways, it was just a mess. So I don't even know. Like, maybe my strategy, actually, my strategy wouldn't have worked for them either in that case, because the sequels were terrible. But if they were half decent and you kept everything on the big screen, it would have been better. Because again, everything's getting canceled. It's nuts. According to a tweet we'll be quoting shortly, this rumor comes from Daniel RPK, a well-known and reliable industry insider who has a strong track record of accurate scoops. While this is still just a rumor and should be taken with a grain of salt, here's what it suggests. Lando is now a film. Well, we'll see. I would not be surprised if that doesn't happen. Rangers of the New Republic was canceled. Andor will end with Season 2. No Mando, Season 4. No Boba Fett, Season 2. No Acolyte, Season 2. Skeleton Crew is limited series. Ahsoka is the only ongoing Star Wars show. No other live-action series has been announced for development. And I don't think Ahsoka's going to see more than 2 either. Ahsoka's not very good. I reviewed it. It's terrible. There's so many problems with it. As you can see, the outlook appears grim, especially considering that Daniel RPK was correct about the Acolyte and seems likely to be right about Skeleton Crew as well. The other projects are still too far off to make any definitive claims. Yeah, okay. Lando becoming a movie could turn out well, but the apparent cancellation of the planned New Republic show suggests that Lucasfilms... See, the problem with that whole thing is, even that isn't going smoothly. So the guy who was writing the show... They canceled his show, and he had written a ton of it. And I don't know if they're just going to steal what he wrote, or just use it in the movie and not credit him. But either way, it's still a mess, because they're... even if they go back to square one, where Donald Glover is writing the whole thing, it's still a mess. You're still going back... Like, it's a mess. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is out the window pretty soon here, get an announcement. But the apparent cancellation of the planned New Republic show suggests that Lucasfilm is rethinking its strategy. New Republic show? What? I don't want to watch that. The New Republic's just stupid. The only way they could make the First Order work is to make the New Republic totally inept and dumb, and that's what they did in Ahsoka. And that's what they're doing in everything. No. It's clear that Lucasfilm is reevaluating its approach. Whether this will be a positive change remains to be seen, but something significant is definitely underway. Okay, so again, this is what they're doing. They're all just nervous now. What are we going to do? I just wanted to talk about this one last thing here. Despite having a hell of a cliffhanger ending that saw Osha turn... There's nothing exciting about it. Introduced Darth Plagueis and a tantalizing glimpse of Master Yoda that's going to cover up the fact that there was Sith in the Phantom Menace. It's so tantalizing that they want to wreck Yoda's character. It's awesome. It's tantalizing. The series was set 100 years before the Phantom Menace, meaning that Leslie Headland had a wide canvas and little pre-existing canon. Oh, but there was canon, and she decided to change it because why would you want to keep George Lucas's 6 films intact lore-wise? The Acolyte was a live-action series culmination of 3.5 years. Even more, yeah. It took them 4 years. 4 years to make that junk of a show. Unreal. And this guy admits it in this article later on. The High Republic, blah, blah, blah. Dozens of books and comics preceded. It's part of the High Republic. But the High Republic sales diminished 90% from the first book to what they're putting out now. So nobody's reading it. The people that are reading it aren't liking it enough to rebuy it. And that's physical copies, which should probably be indicative of digital copies as well, right? Percentage-wise. Light of the Jedi. Yeah, Light of the Jedi did really well. 40,000 copies. And the other ones they're putting out now are getting like 13,000. Headland was certainly bullish when she spoke to IndieWire in July about her hopes for the future. We all know that. Somehow, Wait, stories totally makes you... Somehow that particular influence that the fandom once had doesn't seem as powerful any longer. It's harder to imagine a Save the Acolyte campaign, just given the logical challenges of casting and filming a live-action TV show. Yeah, in other words, the people that are, like, pro-Acolyte, no one's listening to them anymore. More importantly, there's a chilling feeling with this cancellation, one that's genuinely foreboding. The Acolyte was far from a perfect show. It had pacing issues. See, this is what I'm talking about. So he's lamenting that it got canceled. Or whatever, didn't get a second season greenlit. But then goes on to say that it sucked. It had pacing issues. I would have reordered certain episodes completely. Yeah, it was ridiculous the way they ordered the episodes. Some tonal inconsistencies and character motivations that seemed to change on a dime just because they had to. Exactly, that's garbage writing. You have to have motivation behind it. Osha going bad after and joining the guy who literally murdered her friends in front of her, like childhood friends. Yord and whatever, Daphne Keene's character, were her childhood friends that she had known when she was training. And he murders them in front of her, and then she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go with that guy and hold his hand and be in love with them. Like, guys, what is with the modern female writers and this? It's ever since 50 Shades of Grey, I think. They think it's like trendy to have the female character fall in love with like a total psychopath. And they did it in the sequels too. I don't get it. I don't get what that's about. Are they trying to tell girls to like go after, the wrong guy? I mean, girls will do that on their own naturally. They do it all the time. We don't need it in our Star Wars or our TV shows. But it was the single most ambitious and exciting Star Wars series since season 1 of Andor. And as IndieWire's Proma Kosla noted, the most that Star Wars had generated online buzz since. Well, probably since the CGI Luke Skywalker fired up his green blade to save Baby Yoda. I would say online vitriol on both sides. I guess that's buzz. It caused a stir because it legitimately took some big swings. Yeah, I mean, it did a bunch of stupid stuff. The witches. Yeah, I mean, and no, this was done very poorly. The identity of Khmer, it was so obvious. As soon as he like grabbed May when she tried to stab him and just pushed her against the wall, you were like, okay, that's the guy. Connecting him to Darth Plagueis was shoehorned in at the end. No, that was dumb. I don't even think he is connected to Darth Plagueis. How do we know? We don't even know that. There was no scene. They just left it. It also just simply told stories about all new characters in an all new, previously unexplored part of this. That doesn't make it... just because you're telling something new doesn't mean that it's good. Or that it's necessary. This is a huge universe to play in. Much, much bigger than just the Skywalkers. The Acolyte embraced that in that way that Andor... and I agree with that. I would have liked to have seen the Skywalkers done some honor in the sequels. And sure, go off and do other stuff. Absolutely. Just do it properly. Can't believe that show took them 4 years. But Tony Gilroy didn't have to worry about cancellation for Andor because he only planned it for 2 seasons anyway. Not only that, they also greenlit it and started shooting it right away. So they had already invested in it. I don't think it would get made now. I think if 6 months had gone by after they did greenlight it and then they were going to greenlight it, I don't think they would have. I think they would have said no because the decline's just been way too big. Skeleton Crew looks ambitious. No one has to worry in advance that it may also be too different for some fans. No, it's not different. They literally have like Earth City in it, Earth suburbs. Like, I'm sorry, they put streamers on the kids' bike speeder things, like kids of Earth would do. It's like they have no creativity. Ahsoka, just a curious live-action continuation of the Star Wars Rebels animated series, which, yeah, oh my gosh, helicopter sabers, yay! And they put them in. They forgot about that. They put the helicopter saber in Kenobi as well. It's just. Oh, I can't believe somebody thought that was a good idea. They're floating down with helicopter sabers. Like, what were you guys thinking? And the Mandalorian are all building to something. The odd recasting of Timothy Zahn's heir to the Empire. Oh, it was totally weird. It makes no sense. Yeah, Mandalorian and Grogu, it's not going to do very well. Okay, this is a really long article. I'm not going to keep going through all this. But all that to say, like, this isn't sad. This is a happy day. This is good. We need more cancellations. They need to get pushed so far down they sell. That's what they need to do. So I'm really hoping that the Mando movie does poorly. I'm really hoping Skeleton Crew does poorly. I want it to be a good show, but I know it's not going to be, so I hope it does poorly, simply because I want them to just get so deep into the mud, in the quicksand, that it's like Atreyu trying to save his horse. And Disney Star Wars is the horse, and then he finally has to just let him go. Anyways, guys, that's my rant. Yeah, it's so terrible, but funny at the same time. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. Give me a comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, and check out anything else on my channel if you so desire, and have yourselves a really good day.